Welcome to Creative Foundry. Today we get to go behind the scenes of the broadcast for the Jackson Academy Show Choir Invitational.
And I'm inside the Raider Network broadcast truck. We are at JASI 2022, which is the Jackson Academy Show Choir Invitational, which is basically a ton of show choir groups. We had an event all day yesterday, and today is going to be all day as well. Yesterday was the middle school, whereas today is a high school, and it's just a ton of groups that are performing on stage. Right now we're in the truck, which is on the complete other side of campus from where all this is going on in our Performing Arts Center. And I want to kind of give you a little overview of kind of what's going on in here and how we're kind of managing the situation. So we have a website at raidernetwork.org where we have a ton of all the events that we're covering. So we have each performance, so people can go on and purchase individual performances. Something new this year, we're actually doing pay-per-view for each one as well. So that's probably 90% of what I'm working on here in between shows. Right now we're in between our first and second show. But we're setting it up where the stream for the next live stream pay-per-view event has a coming up soon graphic on it that's kind of rotating through. And so we're playing that. We're also in communication constantly with the over Unity Intercom actually to the Performing Arts Center to make sure we know when everybody's set, everybody's ready, so we can make sure our camera guys are ready to go inside the venue as well. Basically what happens is we'll start the show, everybody will get the okay. Over in Expression here we have lower thirds for each individual group. So when a group comes on stage, we'll fly the lower third. It gives their name and the date of this event or whatever. We're using OBS to stream this out like we do for all our other broadcasts, but we actually have several OBS things going on at once. We're using OBS on this laptop to actually record and capture each one. We've got a backup recording going on the Hyperdeck. And then right here behind you, we've got replay actually running, and we're recording and ISOing all 5 of our cameras that we have running inside the theater. Right now you'll see there's a performance going on. This is actually coming through replay, and we actually send this replay feed, even though we're in between sets right now, into the lobby of our Performing Arts Center. That way people can kind of see what they're, if they're interested in purchasing something from us, they can kind of see the quality that they're going to get, and they can watch it on the TVs outside of the previous performance. So when a performance is over, after we finish switching it and stuff, we export the file, post it online, and replace the live stream version with a full digital copy version that's a little bit higher resolution than the live stream is. And then we'll rewind, replay, and play it back so people in the lobby can kind of see. So that's kind of an overview of what's going on up here. This is one event where we have a smaller crew than we normally do. We have 4 camera operators, but inside the truck it's really just me and then somebody running audio, so it's not quite as big of a production as we normally do for some of our larger productions. But one thing we are adding to this event that we don't use in most of our other events is a jib, and it gives us some great shots of panning over the crowd and seeing stage in a completely different way. And so that's kind of an overview of kind of the truck side of things and how things operate here on the truck side. So one of the things that we're doing is we're really utilizing the Stream Decks as well as the iPad, because we don't have as big as of a crew as we might have on some of our situations, but also the Stream Deck is just amazing for keeping things kind of running. Right here you see kind of we have an audio panel, so this allows us to either increase or decrease the volume that's playing in here, and that goes straight through to the mixer to send those commands. And then over here, right now we have this starting soon video that's playing on the stream, and we basically are switching between using the Stream Deck to switch from a blank slide, which we call a live video because there's nothing on it, in ProPresenter, to actually playing a video in ProPresenter, and that's what you're seeing there with the Jazzy broadcast starting soon. So our stream sees that So that's playing completely separate from the main broadcast. The actual program feed out of the ATEM right now, that's what we're using for replay to feed the monitors inside so people in the lobby can kind of see the previous performance. So what will happen is we'll switch to live video as soon as we get word from stage that we're about to start back. So we'll key live video, which will kill that Pro Presenter feed, and it'll switch it to our program out will actually be sent then to the stream. And then at that point, we have a graphic here running in our CG channel, which is basically just a looped graphic of a Jazzy logo. So we'll typically key that on while the MC kind of introduces the next group that comes up, and then we'll lose that right before we actually go, they lift the curtain and we fly our lower third of which group's coming on stage.
Hey, I'm Matt Hinkle, and we're going to run through the audio for Jazzy. So we're in the audio room of the truck right now, and really this is a visual performance as much as it is an audio performance or a vocal performance for these groups. So we have a lot of microphones that are being used, and fortunately back here on this computer we're kind of using the power of the Dante network right now, which is extremely helpful for us. You might see a bunch of green check boxes all throughout this matrix, and basically what that is we are running an Allen and Heath Avantis inside the pack, or the Performing Arts Center. So the front of house mixer has numerous microphones that are set up in there, and from there we're doing something called tie lining. And tie lining means we are splitting the feed that he has created right after the preamp of the microphone. So every single microphone that he has out there, we're also getting so that we can do a separate mix. That's really important in a broadcast situation because the front of house mix may sound really good in there and sound really bad out here. So we split it before any effects happen, which he's really not running effects because this is a competition and you're not really allowed to do that. But basically what we have 5 handheld microphones, we have 5 condenser microphones, we have a piano mic, a jib mic, we have 4 overhead mics, we have 2 condensers hanging from the ceiling for crowd mics, and basically we have those kind of laid out in different layers, and a bunch of his auxiliary things that he's sending us that he's playing music in between breaks and things like that. All of those things are set up on DCAs so that we can remotely control groups of things, like groups of handhelds and things like that. And that also lets me put a little bit of ambience or reverb on certain microphones, like the overheads or the handhelds, because if you don't do that and it's completely dry, when they're singing inside of a big performing arts center and you have no reverb or ambience in the mix, it sounds horrible because it doesn't sound like you're actually sitting in that room. So we're trying to make the viewer feel like they're sitting inside the room. So that's why we do that. We also have a mix going back to the Performing Arts Center, to the front of house. So that's a really cool way of sending signals back and forth through the Dante network. We're using it extensively. We also have microphones on every camera for crowd mics, but predominantly we're just using the overhead condensers for crowd mics because it's really easy to pick up a crowd inside that Performing Arts Center. So that's kind of a rundown of the board. As far as mixing goes, I don't really have to watch a bunch of cues on these different angles because really the audio doesn't change. In a football game, things change a lot and you're trying to let the viewer feel like they're there. But in this, really once I get the audio set, the only thing that I'm really riding up and down is the crowd noise to make it feel, in between performances or songs that the crowd's into it. And that's really about it. So the audio is fairly simple. But in other ways somewhat complicated because there's so many signals coming in and out. It's just, the nice thing is the majority of that work is already done out there or in that Performing Arts Center and just sent to us through tie lines. So we'll show you inside the pack here in just a little bit, show you where some of that stuff is placed.
So welcome inside the Performing Arts Center. First I'm just going to go over kind of the infrastructure and how we're making things work today. So the truck is parked on the other side of campus, probably 2,000 feet away, and we have fiber that goes underground and it hits our main admin building first. And so that's kind of our dispatch area for all of our fiber. We have 24 strands that go there and then 24 strands that come to the Performing Arts Center. Then goes back to the back of the pack where we can patch to the side of our stage, so stage left I guess, and then the top where our booth is for our sound booth. So At those two places, that's where all of our fiber lands, and then there we have several boxes with converters in them to convert for video, for audio, and for network. So this is the sound booth upstairs. We have 12 strands of fiber that run up here that eventually goes all the way back to the truck, and it hits what we call Garth, which is just basically a fiber converter for a whole bunch of video, and then it also does network, and comms is up here as well. So all that fiber hits, we do a whole bunch of conversion to SDI and to comms and network, and then the SDIs go to the two cameras that are up here. Network, we tie in with Dante to their audio board and get 64 by 64 Dante so that we can send and receive all the audio signals. And then comms is just a 2-wire or a 4-wire converter that gets into our Clearcom MS702 for these belt packs that we're wearing. So one of the cool things we're doing here at Jazzy is we have our Performing Arts Center, and then we have the truck, and we are able to tie those two together with Unity Intercom, and we're tied into their intercom along with some wireless just intercom on people's phones. So Samuel's here, he's running a whole bunch of stuff for the Performing Arts Center. Kind of explain what you're doing for Radio Network and for Performing Arts Center.
So I am on Unity with the Radio Network truck, the backstage crew, and the judges table, coordinating timing of performances, and I also run the light board up here in the booth.
So now let's take a look down at the stage level. So we're running a pretty basic setup actually for Jazzy. We're only running 5 cameras. We have 2 up top. One of them is manned and one of them is just locked off wide. It's kind of a safety shot. And then we have 2 in the mid section down here that we use as slash cameras more for the tight shots and pulls and pushes and stuff like that. And then we have 1 jib. It's a 22-foot Pro-Am jib, and it's used for moving shots, dollies, all kinds of stuff. And it's really kind of the holy grail that we use for the majority of the shows.
Hi, I'm Walker Lake. I'm a student at Jackson Academy, and I run a camera for Radio Network. And this is the camera I'm running today. It's a slash camera. I get tighter shots with this camera compared to some of the other cameras around here. I'll just zoom in, pan across the stage, get head to like lower torso shots, and yeah, just zoom in. Back my zoom. It looks great.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Gao. I'm a student at Jackson Academy, and I work for Radio Network. This is my camera right here, camera 3. It's a slash camera where I go for tight shots such as like torso to the head, or I go for soloists. So yeah, that's about it for me.
So this is the front of the jib, the head of it. So this is the control arm, the control cables and stuff run back to the actual control unit in the back of the jib. But we use a Panasonic UX180 here on the front, and then we just have 3 cables: power cable for the camera, a link cable for zoom, and then an SDI that runs back to a monitor on the actual jib, and then that loops out into a Blackmagic fiber converter that then goes to the truck. So this is the control side of the jib. We have a monitor here so we can actually see the camera feed, and like I said, it loops out into our fiber converters that goes to the truck, so we can use it for the broadcast. But jib operations take a little while to get used to, but once you get used to them, they're not too bad. So you just have a control surface here. You have an up, down, left, and right, and there's some settings here for your damping and dead spot and stuff like that allows you to just kind of adjust how fast things are going, and if there's slow movements or slow starts, it just helps you to adjust some settings. And then we have a little zoom remote here. It's just a link zoom remote. It's using the Panasonic side, so it's not technically link, but it's just a zoom remote so we can zoom in and out, and those are the only 3 things you can do. So there's a lot of movements and stuff, but once you get used to it, it's not too bad. So right here is something we call brick. It's just a little flight case that we use that has fiber converters inside of it and power. If you look through this door, we actually have 6 strands of fiber that come back to stage, to this side of the stage, that go back to the back of the pack and then through our admin building all the way back to the truck. So this is what allows us to get the feeds back to the truck. But here we have the jib running through one of our fiber converters, and then we have our 2 slash cams running through the other 2. And then we have some drawers inside of brick just for extra storage, cables, and more converters inside. But this really helps us to have a really tight, neat spot with only a few fibers and carry a lot of audio and video back.
All right, so now we're inside of the pack, or the Performing Arts Center. We'll kind of give you a rundown of the audio. So we looked at it from the truck. Inside of the pack, up on the stage, there are 10 microphones on stands, so 5 handhelds and 5 condenser mics, which pick up kind of directly in front of the vocalist when they have the large group singing. The handhelds are obviously for soloists, so there's a mix of those up there with some 4 wedges, which we don't mix those from the truck. Those are done from front of house. And then hanging from the ceiling, I don't know if you can see them or not, but there's 2 large condensers up there, which are house crowd mics that they just send to us that are already pre-installed. And then something you really can't see is behind the curtain, there are 4 more overheads, which hang directly over the risers where the singers are. It just picks up kind of the back rows a little bit better. And one thing that's really weird is the audio or the band, the music that's going to the singers, it really varies for every single group. So the way they do it is they have their own house band or their own music. So they set up their own mix, and it can be really challenging to get that mixed right because we really have no feed from them. So we rely on the overhead sometimes to pick up their instruments that are back there or microphones, but they're not DIing anything. They're not providing direct mics or anything to this system. We just have to pick it up however they show up, so it can be kind of challenging. The front of house is located upstairs. They're using the Avantis and a Dante card and a Giga Ace card. So the Giga Ace system is running everything in here, and then they're using our Dante network to send and receive all the signals from this building all the way to the truck, which I think we already mentioned is quite a long ways away.
So that's been an overview of the broadcast for the Jackson Academy Show Choir Invitational. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like this video, and we'll be coming out with more shortly.